I asked you all to bring a book about something that represents great literature and explain why. So, Michaela, what did you bring us?
I cheated and brought two. So we'll start with the first one, which is the Tea Dragon Society, which is a all ages, but mostly like middle grade is the main aim here, like graphic novel. It starts off a series of 3, and it is just the sort of book that completely takes you away. Like it transports you from whatever stressors you're experiencing and takes you into another world that's magical and gentle and open and inclusive, and just tells a really special story that I think is just so inviting for kids to be able to just, I don't know, feel like they can walk into a world that's not their own and feel accepted, and like magic is accessible to them. So I just, if you haven't read these books and you want to just like feel calm for a moment, I would highly recommend. And the other one I wanted to give a shout out to more on the YA side is a client book called Threads That Bind by Kika Hatsupulu. This came out in June, and it is the first of a duology. It's a fantasy noir written by a Greek author who's like giving her own spin to Greek mythology. And it's a world where some people within the city have inherited abilities that come from the Greek gods. And so our main character is a descendant of the Fates, and she and her sisters have special abilities because of that, where they can see the threads that connect us to the things that we love. And our main character can cut them, which gives her a lot of power. And so she's trying to solve a murder mystery. There's like the soulmate trope is kind of being examined in this book. It's also a sister story. So I'm deeply obsessed. If that sounds up your alley, I would recommend it. It's just, I think it's such a great example of what happens when a writer speaks, like it puts their own spin on tropes and can kind of bring their own personal cultural experience to something that we're really familiar with, and give it something fresh. And at the same time, I think does something I love in YA, where it just layers a lot of elements, we're exploring a lot of themes. There's a lot of like interesting takeaways on morality, and at the same time we're just having fun because we're like running around a city and like, you know, going on adventures. So yeah, these are the ones I brought.
I love it. Those are so cool. What'd you bring, James?
I brought Valerie Bowling and Kehlani Juanita's Together We Swim. It was just nominated for the Kirkus Prize for Young Readers. It's a super spare text, beautiful illustrations by Kehlani, who is a Coretta Scott King Award nominee. It is about learning how to swim. It's super spare text. It's something that I think is perfect for younger readers, but also has something in it for readers of every age, the parent, the older sibling. There's that rhyming, rollicking text, but also that deeper story about family time and learning a new skill. And one of the things that Kirkus pointed out about it was showing a Black family swimming, which there is a complicated history of Black folks and swimming in general. So I think it's also a really great conversation starter. It's just a book I'm really proud of too. And I think Valerie's writing is evocative and super accessible for readers of all ages. So I highly recommend this one. But Michaela also inspired me to grab a second one, if that's okay. So I picked up Moohoo by Audrey Perot and Ross Burak. This is coming in spring of 24 from Scholastic. And it's a social emotional picture book that does not sacrifice the humor, which I think as a larger part of the market does dedicate, the picture book market does dedicate itself to social emotional learning. I think it's books like these that really carve out something for the little kid too that is engaging them. And it's super funny about a cow who is always crying, hence Moohoo instead of Boohoo. And the illustrations are lively and fun. And I just wanted to plug that one too.
Yeah. Well, and that's when like, kids will read and then it'll stick with you and you'll be 40 in life.
Yeah, that's the hope. Yeah, it's got that hook too, which I think is really important. The hook is built into the title, and I think it's something readers will get immediately, but also parents, like they'll understand what's going on from the title, which I think is really important in picture books.
I think so too. I love it. What'd you bring us, Leah?
I brought Julian is a Mermaid. It's one of my favorites. It's about a little boy who wants to be a mermaid, dress up as a mermaid. And I love the fact that, it talks about, femininity in terms of, little boys dressing up and that not being discouraged. In fact, like his grandmother helps him dress up as a mermaid. And I just feel like that, inclusivity and positive nurturing environment is something that should be showcased in picture books, especially in like Hispanic communities and Black communities, just BIPOC communities in general, where it's kind of really taboo to talk about such things or do such things. I just love the fact that this is showcasing that it's okay, and that, you know, his grandmother, who is of an older generation and probably of a generation that's, you know, not norm, encourages it. And, you know, at the end, like, he goes to the pool and has like a big kind of like party with dressed up as a mermaid. And he finds other older adults who've dressed up as well, and it's just really beautiful and kind of a great celebration of just accepting and being who you are. And that's the type of book I'm looking for. And just those books that just like really leave those really warm spots in your heart, and you always want to revisit.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. What'd you bring us, Jessica?
First of all, I have to just say, I love BookEnds a Mermaid. That is like also one of my very favorite books. I worked on it when I worked at Candlewick. Jessica Love is like the best person. I love that you shouted that one out. Okay, I'm bringing Lonely Bird by Ruth Whiting. Brooke, last time we talked, it was like right before this book came in. So yeah, I'm shouting it out again.
That was real.
Yeah, now that it's physically here, I can hold it up. It's so beautiful. This is my client Ruth Whiting's debut picture book, and it's just, I think, a perfect example of why I love children's publishing today. It's amazing. It's really unconventional. It's a little bit like The Borrowers, if that story was about like a tiny doodle of a bird that comes to life, and she's an artist. She lives a solitary life, but she's not sad, and I really like that. I think kids will get that. She's kind of an introvert. She likes to create art with things that she finds around the house. Sometimes she leaves her art for her human family to find, even though she's not sure that they know she exists. And in this story, she makes something really unexpected, a friend, and then she has to decide whether she's going to rescue him when the friend gets in trouble. It's just really special. It doesn't have any moral or message. It doesn't have any grown-ups in it. It's kind of weird, but in a wonderful way. And I just really love that. It's just like a fascinating story. And I think kids will get really into it and just kind of understand the magic of it. Also, the art is great. Ruth painted all of the illustrations in oil, which, if anybody knows about oil, it's a very tough medium. I feel like I'm doing a terrible job of showing off this book, so I'll stop. But it also, I feel like you guys would be interested to know, it has a really interesting publishing story. It's a really long road. So Ruth has been working on the story for about 15 years, I think. I have a photo of her in 2009 where she's like holding the paper dummy that she was physically mailing off to query publishers. And so, you know, that's a very long story, but it's got this wonderful happy ending. And let's just say that when we finally sold this book in a big 3-book deal, and then she got her copies for the very first time recently, I think it was a really special moment for her. So a great never give up story, Lonely Bird, had a very long road, but sometimes publishing can be like that.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's so encouraging too for anyone who's watching this, and maybe they've been, you know, I'll go through the querying trenches every now and then, and that's so cool. And I'm excited that it's actually in real form, since we chatted a couple months ago and it was just getting ready.
Right after our call, as I knew it would.
Yeah, I love it.